The Denver Broncos offense might just surprise the entire league this season. Not just good, but scary good. But here's the twist. With all the talent packed onto this roster, there's simply no way to keep everyone. In this video, we're diving into the key offensive position battles to watch as the Broncos shape their 53-man roster. Some players are going to get cut, and those same players might end up starting for other teams. That's how deep this unit is becoming. We'll break down each offensive position group, share predictions on how many players the team is likely to carry at each spot, and look at which names are on the bubble. So if you're a Broncos fan or just love smart football talk, you're in the right place. Now let's clear up a common misconception. A lot of fans assume the Broncos offense struggled last season and that the defense carried the load. But here's the truth. Denver averaged over 20 points per game for the first time in years. Not only that, the Broncos were actually the highest scoring offense in the entire AFC West. Yes, you heard that right. In his rookie season, Bo Nix led an offense that outscored units led by Patrick Mahomes and Justin Herbert. Denver finished as one of the top 10 scoring offenses in the entire NFL. And the crazy part, this group is just getting started. Bo Nix is expected to take a leap in year 2. The team has added a reliable tight end, something that was missing last season, and now boasts a running back capable of hitting 100 yards in a game. This offense has the tools to be explosive from every angle. And while this video focuses on the offense, don't forget, Denver's defense is no joke either. More on that in a future breakdown. For now, circle these dates. May 27th, 28th, and 29th, voluntary workouts begin. And yes, it looks like the whole squad will be present, including Courtland Sutton, even without a new deal in place. Fans won't have to wait much longer to see this Broncos squad back in action. Voluntary workouts run from May 27th to 29th, followed by another session from June 3rd to 5th. Mandatory OTAs kick off on June 10th, and just like that, football's back. In this video, we're going position by position. First, we'll look at how many players the Broncos carried at each spot last season, then compare that to our predictions for this year's roster. Let's start at quarterback. Last year, Denver entered training camp with 3 quarterbacks, Bo Nix, Jarrett Stidham, and Zach Wilson. At the time, there was a legitimate competition for the starting job. Nix eventually claimed the role, earned the captain's title, and the rest is history. Still, it was a bit surprising to see all 3 QBs stay on the roster. While Stidham and Wilson built chemistry, the truth is, if Bo Nix goes down, this team's in trouble regardless. Carrying 3 quarterbacks may be more of a luxury than a necessity. Head coach Sean Payton does have a history of keeping 3 QBs around, partly to keep the room competitive and collaborative. But this year, with quarterbacks coach Davis Webb involved, a former player who's practically a 4th QB in the room, the need for that extra body may be less urgent. There's also Sam Ehlinger, a recent addition with experience from Washington and Indianapolis. He'll be participating in OTAs and minicamp, but unless he really impresses, the smarter move might be to keep just 2 quarterbacks. That opens up an extra roster spot elsewhere, which brings us to running back. Last year, Denver carried 4 backs: Audric Estime, Javonte Williams, Blake Watson, and Jaleel McLaughlin. But in a surprise move, the team cut Samaje Perine, who was quickly scooped up by the Chiefs and ended up playing in the Super Bowl. That move raised eyebrows. Javonte Williams is now with the Dallas Cowboys, meaning there's some turnover in the backfield. Predicting who sticks around this year is going to be one of the more fascinating parts of roster construction. At running back, there's going to be some real competition, and it might come down to the numbers game. Audric Estime and Jaleel McLaughlin are near locks to make the roster. Both have shown burst, versatility, and promise in their roles. RJ Harvey also has a strong shot. He fits the mold of the modern back, explosive, elusive, and a weapon in the passing game. Then there's the tough decision between Tyler Beatty and Blake Watson, and it's very possible that both could earn a spot. Sean Payton has spoken highly of each of them, and it's not just coach speak. These guys have produced when it mattered. Who could forget Tyler Beatty's breakout performance in that sweltering road game in Tampa Bay? He ran with power and confidence, punching it into the end zone and proving he belongs. And when the Broncos made that playoff push, it was Beatty who suited up and carried the load in the Buffalo game. Unfortunately, his season was derailed by a serious injury, the kind that takes a player off the field on a stretcher. But when healthy, He's dynamic, shifty, and flat out tough. If the Broncos only carry 2 quarterbacks this season, it could open the door for 4, maybe even 5 running backs to make the cut. That's where Blake Watson enters the picture. A standout at Memphis, Watson brings big playability and shares a similar skill set to R.J. Harvey. That overlap might hurt his chances, but if the team feels they can stash one on the practice squad, Watson is a strong candidate. He's got the pop, the quickness, and the resume. Given how deep this year's rookie running back class was, a number of talented players across the league are likely to fall through to practice squads. That could work in Denver's favor if they need to make a tough cut. So here's the big question. How many running backs should the Broncos carry? 4 seems like the safe bet. 5 would be exciting, but it means sacrificing depth somewhere else. And when we break down the defense tomorrow, you'll see why trimming from that side of the ball might not be an option. Here's where roster decisions start to get tricky. Wide receiver. Last year, the Broncos kept 5 receivers on the 53-man roster. But this year, the depth and talent at the position might force a change. Just look at what happened last season. Tim Patrick didn't make the final roster, ended up signing with the Detroit Lions, and ended up catching a touchdown in the playoffs. That one stung. Looking at this year's group, several names feel like locks already. Troy Franklin, Marvin Mims, Cortland Sutton, and Devin Vell, all expected to be on the final roster. That's 4 spots gone. If Denver sticks with just 5 wide receivers again, that means there's only 1 more slot available. And that spot? It's hard not to give it to Pat Bryant. He's made a strong impression, and his physical play style fits what Denver needs. Then there's Trent Sherfield. He's projected to be a key contributor on special teams, likely filling the gunner role left vacant by off-season departures. If he makes the cut, and there's a good chance he will, that pushes the total to 6 receivers. Already 1 more than last year's total, but we're not done yet. 2 undrafted free agents are also making waves. One is out of North Carolina Central, Walken Davis, a 6'4" athletic freak with elite measurables. The other, Jerhuan Newton from Toledo, is a speedster who could make a name for himself as a return specialist. If either of these guys makes the final 53, the Broncos would be 2 wideouts over last year's number. That's the roster crunch, and it's real. Drop a comment. How many wide receivers do you think Denver can realistically keep? Now let's shift to the offensive line, another group where the numbers may need to expand. Last season, Denver's O-line was one of the highest paid and most productive in the league. The starters are expected to return, and continuity should be a huge asset for the offense. Some have questioned whether the team might move on from Alex Forsyth. He had a rough moment on that blocked field goal, but outside of that, his development has been solid. Cutting him would be a surprise. Depth on the interior line matters, and Forsyth still has upside. Let's finish off the offensive side of the ball by looking at 2 more key groups. The offensive line and tight ends, both of which have gotten deeper and more competitive. Starting with the offensive line, Denver's starters are mostly locked in and coming off a strong season. But behind them, there are 2 newcomers worth watching closely, both with SEC pedigrees. Clay Webb, formerly at Georgia, is a name that's flown under the radar. He was once part of a high-profile off-field issue, but he's since been fully cleared of any wrongdoing. If that situation hadn't affected his draft stock, he likely would have been selected early on day 3. Webb has the talent, size, and toughness to push for a depth role right away. Then there's Xavier Truss, another Georgia product with real experience. He started for a team that competed for national titles and held his own in the SEC trenches. With proper development under offensive line coach Zach Strief, both Webb and Truss could be long-term assets or even rotational players this season. That depth matters, especially when you consider the age of starting left tackle Garrett Bowles. He's been reliable, but eventually the team will need a plan for the future. A player like Webb could be part of that plan, but again, the numbers matter. If Denver adds an extra lineman, an extra running back, and an extra wide receiver, while only cutting down 1 quarterback, something has to give. And cutting too much from the defense isn't realistic. That brings us to the tight end room, where there might be room to trim. Last season, Denver opened the year with 4 tight ends: Adam Troutman, Greg Dulcich, Nate Adkins, and Lucas Krull. Dulcich, of course, is no longer with the team, and Troutman remains a steady presence. But the big upgrade this year is the addition of Evan Engram. He brings speed, size, and true mismatch ability, something the Broncos haven't had at the tight end position in a long time. His presence alone elevates the unit, and he's a lock for the roster. With Engram leading the group, Denver may not need to carry 4 tight ends this year. Lucas Krull, while talented, remains a project with high upside but limited experience. That type of roster spot becomes harder to justify when depth is needed elsewhere. So trimming down the tight end group to 3 could be the move that helps balance the rest of the offense, especially if the Broncos want to keep extra depth at more high-impact positions like wide receiver or offensive line. Head coach Sean Payton once joked about Lucas Krull, saying something along the lines of, "People are asking who number 85 is. Don't worry, you won't need to remember him for long." Well, for most of the league, that's still true. With the arrival of Evan Engram, there may no longer be a place on the roster for Krull, and it's likely he won't make the final cut. Engram slots in as the clear TE1. Behind him, veteran Adam Troutman remains a reliable and experienced option who should have no trouble making the 53-man roster. That leaves the final tight end fullback spots up for grabs, and they're going to be highly contested. Nate Adkins and fullback Michael Burton both bring specific skill sets that could earn them a spot, especially given Sean Payton's appreciation for physical, versatile players. Burton was strategically moved between the practice squad and game day roster last season to preserve flexibility, and Payton may employ a similar tactic again. But the wild card here is Caleb Lohner. He's a converted basketball player with an intriguing blend of size and athleticism, drawing comparisons to tight ends like Jimmy Graham or Antonio Gates. Though he has limited football experience, multiple teams reportedly wanted him after the draft, including New England and Indianapolis. If Denver tries to stash him on the practice squad, there's a good chance he gets poached by another team. So while the initial projection may be 3 tight ends, there's a real scenario where Denver keeps 4, or even 5 if you include a fullback. That would mean trimming somewhere else, but Payton has always been willing to go against convention if it means keeping the guys he believes in. So what do you think? Will Denver go heavy at tight end and fullback, or will the numbers game push someone talented off the roster? One thing's for sure, organized team activities are here, the offseason is heating up, and the Broncos are building something worth getting excited about. Broncos country, football is back.